me here on the Rich Eisen Show, Bret Saberhagen. How are you, Bret?
Great, Rich. Thanks for letting me shuffle on in today.
Do you still have that rap game, Bret? Do you still have it?
You know, it was so funny. I'm watching the game one in L.A. with my kids, and my older son Drew was born Game 6 of the World Series. He goes, "Dad, you need to see this." He goes, "It's just popped up," and he shows me. I just started laughing. I go, "Where did that come from?" And then, even 2 days later, it shows up with Fallon, and
That's right.
my phone's been blowing up ever since. I don't know. Maybe that DirecTV commercial when they play the two different sides. Maybe I can pull that one off.
Yeah, there's Bret Saberhagen and Jimmy Fallon. Bret Saberhagen. We know the right people for that, Bret. We can pull that off if you're looking for that.
Oh my goodness, that's a blast from the past. Very funny.
Yeah, it's
I'm glad I was able to throw a baseball because my singing and rapping career just didn't take off.
You definitely found your proper calling. There's no doubt about that. So you mentioned this, and it's known, but I'd love to hit it right now, especially since we were sort of joking how Phillip Rivers just had his 8th child this week, and he's going to be playing a football game on Sunday all the way across the country. So you had a child. Your wife had a son. Games the Don Denkinger night of that World Series that happened, Bret.
It was actually before Game 6. It was late night after. We had gotten back, so she timed it perfectly. And actually, it's kind of coincidence. Zorbris's wife's expecting as well,
right?
With the Royals. So you've got all kinds of sports guys going around playing, and hopefully having their wives time it perfectly. But Janine did a great job of timing it great, and was able to actually help take my mind off of especially Game 7, going into Game 7 for a little bit, because I was able to enjoy Drew and and kind of have some time with him. Because that was probably the most stressful game I've ever been in, was Game 7 of the World Series in 1985.
Well, I guess it's an obvious question, so I'll ask it. Why? Why was it so stressful for you, Bret?
Well, yeah, going in, you realize that, hey, when we're champions, if you lose, when are you going to get a chance to get back? Are you going to get a chance to get back? Knowing that you kind of feel like you let down your teammates, you let down your fans, you let down your organization if you don't go out and win. I think the first inning and a half, finally the second inning, halfway through the second inning, I was able to actually have the right breathing patterns. It turned out great that we scored some runs early as well, and was able to kind of calm down that way as well.
Game 7 winner from the 1985 World Series, MVP of that series, Bret Saberhagen, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, look, everybody's fan base is passionate. We talk about it all the time in sports. And when you say, well, what would it mean to this city? There's cities everywhere for which it would mean so much. But all of that said, is you've won in Kansas City before. What would it mean to that town, that city, to see the Royals win 2 of any of the next 5 games, Bret?
Well, it's great for the Royals organization, and what's really been special, especially last year, I didn't miss any of their home games last year in October, just for the fact that they hadn't been to postseason in so many years, 29 years last year, going in without being in postseason. And what's really cool is that I've met some people. I was at Game 2 the other night. I continue to meet people that have kids that were kids when the 85 series was around. So now they're getting a chance. They've talked to their kids about, hey, the 85 team, this and that. And it's like, okay, Dad, yeah, but what about the Royals now? And now they're getting a chance to experience it with them, with their kids. So it's a great transition from young to old, and then experiencing with their youngsters. So you get to meet these kids, and they go, "Who are you again?" Oh, okay.
I imagine one of those people is Paul Rudd, who you saw for Game 2, right?
Paul's a good friend, and he's he's kind of torn. I was with him at Game 2 the other night, and he's kind of torn because he lives in New York.
Yep.
He really enjoys the Mets as well, so he's kind of torn. So either way, I think that Royals going in this year kind of expected to be back in postseason and really compete for world championships, what there are. The Mets and both of these teams made great acquisitions at the trade deadline, and they've really kind of sparked their individual teams. And honestly, going into tonight's game, without the DH, it's got to favor the Mets in the next few games.
Sure.
It'll be fun to watch, and plus you get some home cooking, you get the fans behind you. It's going to be a different Mets team tonight.
Yeah, there's only one team in the World Series, I believe, Brett, that has Bobby Bonilla still on the payroll, right? That would be the Mets, right, Brett?
That is.
Are you still on the Mets payroll? Are you still?
I happen to be. Yes. You know what? I was asking. Do I get a ring for still being on their payroll if they win it all?
No kidding. Are you still?
Yeah.
Through how long are you on the Mets payroll, Brett?
We did a deferred compensation. Dennis Gilbert did for me back when I was with the Mets, and we took part of my salary, put it away, and they pay me until I'm 65. So not quite as much as Bobby's getting, but still a little bit of money.
How old are you right now, Bret Saberhagen?
51 years old, and the body's feeling like it's about 61.
So 14 more years you will be on the New York Mets payroll from that team.
Yes, there's still deferred compensation coming at me, which is probably one of the best deals I think my agent ever made for me.
And I see Dennis every time there's a pitch thrown at a Dodger game. He's sitting right back there.
Yeah, if he's not there, I'm calling him going, "You all right? Everything okay with you?" Because he actually hardly misses any Dodger games whatsoever. So, yeah, between him and Larry, you see Larry King back there about each and every game as well.
Hello. So, it's interesting. In that 85 World Series, your wrap-up of that Game 7, one of 4 complete games in that World Series. And with Johnny Cueto in Game 2 throwing a complete game, your Game 7 was the last time there was a complete game pitched by a Royal in a World Series. And it was the first one since Jack Morris in 1991. It's just not the same anymore, Brett, is it?
Well, I think the big thing that has happened with baseball is that you have relief pitchers that are just unbelievable. The velocities that they're throwing, the command that they're throwing, they've got more than 2 pitches, and they do an unbelievable job. So it's become a specialty. Back when I was playing, you would have your kind of setup guy, but again, we had Quisenberry that was going 3 innings for a save. So it's the game has changed because and a lot of these teams have multiple guys that could be closers for other teams. You look at the closer now, Wade Davis. Greg Holland for the Royals is hurt, and he was their closer. So you've got it's actually a specialty item now where you can go to the bullpen in any given situation, and they can throw more than 1 inning, but normally that's what they're asked to do, and they do it pretty well.
And then there's a TBD for the Mets in Game 5 right now. Everyone does assume it's going to be Matt Harvey, and there's so much talk about how handling pitchers after Tommy John surgery it should be done. How do you feel about handling of pitchers right now in Major League Baseball?
Well, all I can say is that you don't know. I went to the postseason in 1984. We lost to the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers ended up winning the World Series. We go to the World Series the following year. We win the World Series in 1985. And after 2 years, I just expected to be in the playoffs each and every year. Well, didn't get back to postseason until 1995 and never got back to another World Series. And so you never know if you're going to get a chance to get back to postseason. I know the wild card, and you have a lot more teams going to postseason. Back until I think it was 95 when the wild card happened, there was only 2 teams in each league going to postseason. So it's tough to get there. It's extremely tough to win. And if you have that opportunity, which Harvey does, if I'm him, I'm saying, give me the ball. I don't care what's going on. I want the ball, and I'm going to go as long as I can. But again, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of things going on in baseball that you got to kind of protect guys. You got to protect your investments.
And I'm assuming last question for you on baseball before we turn to our ticket giveaway, and then also your golf tournament down in Florida in January that I'd like to ask you about. Again, we're expecting Harvey to go in Game 5. I'm assuming you're expecting there will be a Game 5. What do you think happens the rest of this World Series, Bret Saberhagen?
Well, I really think it's going back to Kansas City for the series. What's going to happen? I wish I.
Sure.
Every time I make a prediction, it always goes the other way. So I just really enjoy good baseball, and I'd love to see it go 7 games. There's nothing like a game 7 in any in baseball, and when it comes down to the do or die, it's unbelievable, and you see the cream rise to the top usually, and hopefully there is a game 7. But I really expect that 2 out of the 3 games in New York, the Mets are going to win. Just because I think of the DH is going to really hurt the Royals with Morales out of that lineup. So the pitching is very solid on both sides. Mm-hmm. But the home team, going back to New York without the DH, I think it definitely favors the Mets, and I think they're going to take the next 2 out of 3. And with that being said, I'm usually wrong.
But if there is a Game 7, you threw out a Game 7 first pitch in Kansas City last year. We also, Bumgarner did. If you're asked that again, would you do it again, or out of superstition not do it, Bret?
I would absolutely do it. I'm not in charge of the outcome of that game.
Of course
but
not.
I would have to shuffle it probably down. I maybe make a couple good little moves since that video's come back out or that commercial's come back out.
So let's talk about your Diamond Resorts Invitational Golf Tournament that benefits the Florida Hospital for Children in Windermere, Florida, January 14th through the 16th at the Golden Bear Club. What's this all about?
There's actually been a tournament that played in the American Century Golf outing in July back in Tahoe.
Yep.
And it's been a great event there. And the Diamond Resorts Invitational benefiting the Florida Children's Hospital has kind of taken that and gone with it. And it's kind of the same little deal. There's a purse for the guys. Diamond Resorts is donating money. They've actually raised $1.2 million for the Florida Children's Hospital over some years now, and they continue to do good things for the Children's Hospital. It's going to be covered live on the Golf Channel as well while we're there. And they've got some really good guys. If you like football, you got Jerry Rice going in.
Oh, great.
And you got Reggie Jackson, former Yankee out there, Larry the Cable Guy, myself, John Smoltz, Maddox, Glavin, just to name a few guys that go out there and partake in it. So if you get a chance, take a peek at it. But, yeah, in Windermere, Florida, January 14th to the 16th at the Golden Bear Club in Windermere.
Bret, are you ready to help us give away tickets to Game 4 of the World Series?
Let's do it.
Okay, I've got people on phone lines 1 through 6. Just give me one number, 1 through 6, Bret Saberhagen.
I'm going to have to go with David Wright's number 5. How's that?
You got it, number 5. And interestingly enough, there is a man named David on phone line number 5 in Tempe, Arizona. He can travel. Is that correct, David?
Yes, sir, Mr. Rich Eisen.
Well, thank Bret Saberhagen.
Bret Saberhagen. Love it, man. Thank you so much.
Enjoy, David.
Got to figure out how I'm going to get to New York now and watch you guys beat up on the Mets.
You're a Royals fan then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just great to see what they're doing for the city, man. The fans are just, like none other. A lot better than, I wish our Arizona Diamondback fans had the heart that you guys have.
Interesting that he would choose a Met number to go ahead and give you, David, a trip to the World Series. We're giving away those tickets to you, care of backyardsports.com. Thanks for calling. David, you hang on the phone line, okay? Do not hang up. Do not hang up.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Bret Saberhagen, thanks so much for calling into the show. We look forward to the next time already.
Always good for talking to you, Rich.
You bet. That's Bret Saberhagen at Bret Sabes.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.